Actually, the best days of the year for me are always the days I spend on Navodaya campuses. So it's always a pleasure to be with the JNV students. And I remember the first year we were here in 2009. There was a student actually he was from JNV Bangalore, Manjunath. And Manjunath actually is, I don't think he's here today, but he's a terrific artist. He's, had great skills in painting, etc. And he had a lot of interest in being an architect. And I had asked him when we were just going to do the ceremony if he could create a painting that we could gift to our chief guest. In 2009, our chief guest was the Honorable Montek Singh Ahluwalia ji. And so he said, "Oh, of course, no problem, sir, I can make a painting." And I told him, please make the painting relevant to Dakshina and JNV and all of that. And he did. He created a wonderful painting which was with that motif. And but Manjunath had a problem. He told me before he took the IIT exam that he wants to be an architect. He's very clear about that. And he wanted to study architecture at IIT. And he said that in order to get into IIT, he has to, of course, clear the IIT-G, which includes chemistry. And he's a total zero in chemistry. So he just hated the subject. He could not do well in it. And our faculty had told him that there wasn't any chance that he could really clear the exam unless he did well in chemistry also. But they also told him that there was another school, the School of Planning and Architecture, which is in Delhi, which has an architecture program which is one of the best in the country, where you get in through the AIEEE and you take a special architecture exam within the AIEEE. And so what he did was in the last 2 months, he completely abandoned the IIT-G preparation and put all his effort behind the AIEEE. And now he's a student at the School of Planning and Architecture. And he told me, I don't know why these guys at IIT don't understand that you put a roadblock of chemistry in the middle to his goal. But what I appreciated about Manjunath was that he was extremely clear at the age of even 16 or 17 exactly what he wanted to do. And every single finance class I took, I was at the top of the class. In fact, one time the professor called me to his office and said, "Look, you don't need to take the final. You have an A, so you can relax." And then he said, "I don't know what kind of engineer you are, but I think you are in the wrong field, and you should switch to finance and switch to the business school." And at that time, my perspective at 20 or 21 was that real men do engineering. They don't go into finance and other things like that. So I just ignored his advice. And about 10 years after I graduated, I switched to finance. Just so instead of catching my ear like this, I went and caught it like this. And so the only reason I was telling that story to you is that, if you are like Manjunath and you know exactly what you want to do, then you should absolutely go and pursue it with, single-minded determination. But I don't think you should choose fields that you want to study based on what is hot today or what might pay well when you graduate. So what I would suggest you do is try to focus on areas that you have an interest in. And if you don't know, which was my situation, I didn't know what I had an interest in, is when you go to campuses like the IITs and NITs, they offer courses in many different areas. And they give you options, no matter what your major, to have a choice of some of those elective courses. So sample broadly and try to listen to your inner voice of what turns you on, what you're interested in, what you're excited about, and try to kind of move yourself in that direction. Because I've always felt that if you pursue your passion, then you won't work for even one day in your life, and people will pay you for it, which is wonderful. So that's just something I wanted to share with you for all the students in the room. this year, the scholars that have taken the IITG, this is our smallest batch ever. It's the echo of the financial crisis. So in 2009, we were forced to cut back the program because Dakshina's resources were severely constrained. And so we went down to a single campus and we just took 50 scholars. And of course, since then, things have gotten a lot better and we've started ramping up. And in fact, I haven't shared this publicly so far, but I'm going to put it in the annual report, but I'll share it with you now, is that there is a IIT alum from IIT Madras, Mr. Prem Vatsa. He lives in Toronto. And Prem is the founder and CEO of Fairfax Financial. It's got about an $8 billion market cap. I think Prem has a very significant net worth. And he called me after reading the Dakshina annual report, and we spent about an hour and a half on the phone. After that, he went and spent almost half a day with the students at JNV in Rangareddy in Hyderabad with his family. And he came back and said it was one of the best days of his life. He really had a great time over there. And after he came back, he made a commitment to Dakshina of 23 crores, about $5 million. And we just received the first 4.5 crores. He said he would be sending about 4.5 crores to us every year, $1 million a year. So we just got the first million. And he also told me, so Prem believes, and he is very clear, that all of his wealth will get recycled back to society. He's a very generous person, wonderful person. And he told me that, if the 23 crores is not enough, I just need to let him know, and he'll bump that up. He said that he has plenty of friends that he can call and other things that he can do. So Dakshina actually, today as I speak to you, we have a bank account that has more than 10 crores in it. We have another IIT alum. This is a person, I won't name him yet. He's an alum from IIT Bombay. He's a billionaire on the Forbes 400 list. And he too had a call with me just in the last couple of weeks. And he'll be visiting the JNV in Bangalore in the next few weeks. And he also expressed to me that his entire fortune is, not only is it going back to society, but it is, so, the IITs, by the time you get to the year 2020, will probably have somewhere between 18 to 20,000 students that they'll take in every year. And so if we were to reach that goal, 1 in 10 IITians would be from Dakshina, from the JNV system, which I think is quite staggering to think about. But I've done the math, and it's a stretch goal, but it is not impossible. In fact, I'm pretty sure we can get to over 1,000 without that much difficulty in a few years. And I think if we refine our systems and go deeper and create more awareness, we can bump that number up. And but to do that, we need to make investments. The government of India needs to make investments, and I think everyone is on board to do that. So the model to get 2,000 kids into IIT every year requires us to nurture and groom 3,000 kids. So we would take in 3,000 kids into our program, assuming about a, say, 70% or so conversion rate. And so we would need a capacity in the system for 6,000 scholars, which is pretty significant. And we have a model which we are just going to start with Bangalore, which would be about 300 to 350 scholars at a single campus. So it would be kind of a campus within a campus. We start with JNV Bangalore. And it's a public-private partnership where Dakshina puts up some of the money for the construction, the government puts up some of it. And then we, of course, are happy to provide the ongoing faculty and so on. We would also train JNV faculty to eventually become IITG faculty. So this Bangalore campus, which we've got the plans and such ready, I'm hoping can be ready next year. And once that campus is ready and it starts taking in the 300 kids a year, I think it's a game changer. Because then we can look at that model, and I think we build out additional campuses over the next 8 or 9 years. And we need 18 of them, and I know where I can go get the money if I run short. And I think that more and more people will become associated with Dakshina to help out on that front. So I think it looks pretty good. I also want to say that the only reason Dakshina looks good is because we're standing on the shoulders of giants. So Jawaharlal Nehru created the IIT system. Then we had Narasimha Rao, who created the predecessor to the JNV system in the state of Andhra Pradesh, and he brought that to the attention of Rajiv Gandhi, and then Rajiv Gandhi embraced that and created the Navodaya system. And of course, we've got all the wonderful folks from Mr. Kuntia to Manoj Singh and Mr. Naidu and Alok Verma and so on, who've championed our cause. We have Colonel Sharma, who actually does most of the work. I'm usually playing about 10 hours of bridge a week, and he's bouncing around all over India, making sure Dakshina is doing its things. So it works well. We've got a great team with Sharmila, etc. in Pune, and and quite frankly, most of the work is done by the scholars. They work really hard. We are simply providing you some of the tools, and just basically we can only bring the horse to the water. You have to be willing to drink, and I think you're willing to drink quite a bit, which is wonderful. So thank you, and we hope we can continue to grow and scale the program. So thank you.